Good morning and happy Friday. Today on Own Your Change, I am going to be talking about the things that you need to say to yourself in order to brainwash yourself into who you want to be. Because every morning, your brain gives you a window to go deep into your subconscious mind. And it allows you to wire yourself from the inside out. And that's why I want to give you three simple affirmations to tell yourself every single morning. And the reason why this is important is because if you are trying to change an aspect of your life as humans, we just go into an autopilot, kind of old software, if you will. And the new software is not running right now. And you are running on an old program, and that's what's running your brain. And you might feel overwhelmed or lost because you're on autopilot with no real destination and you don't like where you're headed. So, this is going to give you what you need to change course because the way you start your morning is the way that you will shape your entire life. So, let me tell you why first the morning is important. So, when you wake up in the morning, you are in this mode called Theta state. So, what that is it's the best time to access your subconscious because right in the morning, you are in a state and you are perceiving what's around you. So if you're perceiving um, that you are in fight or fight mode, or you are perceiving that there's danger, or you need to be protecting yourself, then you're not going to be able to touch into the more logical side of your brain. So theta state is what they use it's a frequency that they use in hypnosis or deep meditation. And what it does is it allows you to access this part of your brain that hasn't fully kicked in yet. So by using the suggested affirmations I'm about to give to you, you're basically bypassing the resistance versus when we think of affirming ourselves of I am the type of person that does this, oftentimes your self-talk is, this is BS. This is my BS meter running. And it drives you out of this intentional change. So, one way you can think about your brain is that you have a subconscious and a conscious. And in the morning, your subconscious door is slightly open. And what you feed it first thing in the morning is what's going to fuel you throughout your day. So that's why I want to give you three visual goals into how you can change your morning routine, so that the first thing you do is you actually are starting to rewire your brain. And then that leads into patterns and that leads into change. So, of these three goals, I want you to visualize your goal. Okay. So, first thing in the morning, I want you to start to actually rewire your patterns because brain can be reprogrammed. It's so cool and it's fascinating. And that's what I'm starting to understand is rewiring your brain is possible. And that's what I am embracing right now is that from this moment, first thing in the morning, I am choosing to tell myself and be obsessed with the fact that I am moving and it's exciting and it's a big change. So, another thing that I have been reading a lot about is identity consistency. And what that means is we need to be in alignment with who we are now and who we are becoming. And your brain is obsessed with identity consistency. And if you don't consciously where you want to be, if you're not conscious of where you are today, then you'll just be in default mode. And the problem with that is that your old self or your who you are today isn't qualified to run who your future self is. So when you wake up every morning as yesterday's version of the same thoughts, the same reaction, the same excuse, the same emotional pattern, so the University of Minnesota found, this is fascinating, that 95% of your thoughts today are exactly as they were yesterday. And yesterday is going to look like tomorrow, and tomorrow is going to look like yesterday if you don't interrupt this identity, this inertia that you are experiencing in real time, then you will stay the same. And it's really important to say from this moment on, I'm not who I used to be. You're not telling your brain stop referencing old data because you know that the old data happened. You do know the history. What you don't know is the future. And This is where it's not discipline, it's not motivation. It is actually tapping into the subconscious for direction. And so when you tell yourself from this moment forward, this is who I choose to be. Okay. We're not talking about what happened 10 years ago because that's not me anymore. We're talking about who am I today and where am I going? And that's where the excitement comes in. I'm not gaslighting myself of telling myself, it's all going to be easy. It's all going to be grass is all, I'm not gaslighting myself. I am not focused on the old version of myself. I am choosing to be somebody different. And the old version of me, that was phase 1. Now I'm in phase 2. And what does phase 3 look like? What does my 30s look like? I don't know, but I am excited. I'm excited to find out. So that's part 1. Okay. Part 2, what I want you to tell yourself every morning is I am safe. 3 words. I am safe. Okay. Because what I realized and what I've been researching is we go in flight or fight mode. You're feeling anxious. You're not feeling safe. You could be feeling all of these feelings of needing to protect, but you're on guard, yet you're just sitting in your house. You have nothing to be worried about right now. And when we have this flight or fight mode, that's a biological, natural tendency that our nervous system is feeling threat. And it's really fascinating when you bring down your nervous system and you chill out for a little bit, because when you wake up in flight or fight mode and you're raising this urgency to protect and you have a tight chest and this is how you start your morning, it's wild because you're just sitting in your bed or you're laying there and you don't need to be in this protection mode. And we need to calm our nervous system. So you can do this in multiple different ways, but just by the simple reminder, I am safe. Give your nervous system the okay to chill, like just chill out. And I'm trying to make this sound really simple because it is. So deep breaths, reminding yourself, I am safe. And in this moment, that's what you need to draw it back to is how are you feeling? How is your environment around you? Do you need to be in this state of something wrong? Something I'm anxious. You have to interrupt those thoughts. So a prerequisite to feeling regulated is building the confidence to remind yourself, I am safe. And you don't need to go into problem solving mode and, solution. If you skip this step of just reminding yourself, I am safe, and remind your body to become aware that right now it does not need to be on guard. So that's number 2. I am safe. And then the third one what I want you to be reminding yourself every single morning is that you need to speak to yourself with self love. I would encourage you to try and talk to yourself differently and try and talk to yourself with how you would talk to a child. Okay. It's not this, I'll just push harder and harsh talk, because that activates the same neural pathways of being criticized. So when you look at studies of the brain actually, when you're criticizing yourself or criticizing someone else, that activates the same part of your brain as physical pain. So if your inner voice is cruel or dismissive, your nervous system actually experiences life as a hostile and constantly stressful. Your hormones are elevated, and what this means is then you have less motivation and your cortisol, your brain's constantly releasing all of these different signals. And so that's where it comes down to the conscious self is we need to get out of this protective mode. We need to shut that down. And you can avoid and you can protect yourself, and you can choose to allow this line of thinking. You also have the choice to be kind to yourself and to remind yourself, start treating yourself like a child again and take charge of the way you talk to yourself. So I hope that this provides three opportunities every single morning before you get out of bed, before you start the day, to start your day and start running your start running your life. And you should be running the show, not your brain, not anyone around you. You can do it. And I can do it. I'm doing it right now in real time. Um, and it's empowering. It really is when you begin to run the show. And it's actually it builds trust with yourself. And the more easily that you are able to interrupt what your unconscious is consciously or your unconscious mind is on autopilot. So how do we interrupt it? How do you begin to follow through with things? How do you become your biggest support? And your internal support is so huge in times of change because you're with yourself all day long. And what you take in your environment is very influential. And our brains, we are like sponges, and whatever you see in your environment is giving you unconsciously or consciously all of these signals, all of this information. And how do you choose to deal with it? What do you choose to let in? What do you choose to say no? It's not my program. This is what I am choosing to do. And so it's how you control and reframe what's going on in your subconscious. And that is it's updating your software. A lot of people buy iPhones every year, and that's new. Are they also updating their iOS system? Because as technology improves, similarly, you also need to update your systems, and you need to update how are your programs running. And if you don't update them, you won't be able to use your new product. So rewire your systems and programs and begin to take control of what does your day-to-day look like. Super simply, start in the morning. Okay. 3 things to brainwash yourself into becoming the person that you want to be, and uninstall the old software. New software, that's where the change is going to happen. And if you are going to continue to run on your old program, then you will not have an easy time likely in changing into that, heading to that new direction. And one thing I have been focusing on is creating kind of roadmaps or trajectories. So you want to think about an airport, you have runways. A lot of different planes are coming into that runway. And how is air traffic control organizing it all? Well, they have systems in place that work. And your brain is a system that you are in control of, and you can rewire and you can change. And it's exciting, and yeah, it's going to be great. And I don't have to have it all figured out. Yeah. Well, that's all I've got. Have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. Happy Valentine's Day. Thanks for listening to Own Your Change.